brake kit to the CRX, along with a brand new master cylinder and some Hush Performance brake lines. So basically doing this just in preparation for the autocross and stuff that I'm going to be doing in the future, and just overall just to get bigger brakes. So this kit though is not the giant big brake kits. This is actually only going to move my rotor to a 10.2. So the reason I'm doing that and not a bigger brake kit is I still want them to fit underneath my 13-inch Lenzo drag slicks. And I know you could go maybe a different route and grab like some EX spindles or DA spindles. Because nowadays stuff is harder to find. I'm not around any junkyards, and it is what it is. So this kit is for what I'm going to be doing. So the kit comes with some, here's the Wilwood calipers. They are the Powerlight calipers. Comes with just some hardware there, and these are the adapter brackets. So from my understanding, we're going to see, but when I put the bigger rotor on it, the caliper basically needs to set back, which is why this is milled, which we'll get to that. Now the kit also came with some Wilwood brake pads. It did not come with these StopTech rotors. What it did come with was these Evolution drilled and slotted rotors. I asked Brian on Midnight Oil what he recommended on them, or his opinion on them, because all over the internet, I mean, for years, no matter what kind of car, people have hated on drilled and slotted rotors. It is what it is. I got advised they'd probably be okay with what I'm doing, and they probably will be, but I think for some experimental stuff is what I'm going to keep it for. So I have another set of brake pads to go with these rotors, and I'm going to be running StopTech just slotted rotors with these Wilwood pads. I'm also putting matching StopTech rotors in the back at the same time. Now, not with the Fastbrakes kit, I also ordered a Hush Performance brake line kit just to tidy it up. I've already got, if you followed older videos, I already have Valix lines. It only goes to 2 of them here, and then goes to the front. But in this case, this is going to basically replace the 2 on the master cylinder and all 4 at the prop valve, all total 4. And then I've got a brand new just 15/16 master cylinder to be replaced as well. So that's everything that's going to be going on. Oh, and I'm also, call me crazy, but since the calipers are kind of a grayish color, I was just experimenting with some colors. These do not come across very well in the light, but just sort of experimenting with a color. This does not work out very well. It's not an exact color, but this is definitely a little bit closer. Just kind of experimenting to see what's close, so that way the back doesn't look totally crazy from the front, but we'll see how that goes. So when I pull the back, I'm probably going to sandblast them, primer them, paint them, and move on. But otherwise, first I'm going to start with taking off the master cylinder and set up the brake lines. All right, just remove the cap off the stock master cylinder. I'm going to try to get most of the fluid out of it by a little shop vac. Whoa! Basically, don't forget to grab a line wrench, and it's a 10, I'm gonna take that one loose, that line loose, then I'll be able to unbolt the 2, it looks like 10s or 12s, with the 12s right here from the actual booster, and then we'll attack over here. Follow your exhaust basically, and you're going to find a little 10 right here that's holding the brake lines against the still to the car, so you're going to have to undo that too. Alright, it's going to be kind of hard to show you with the motor in the car, but if you follow those 2 brake lines that you just took off the master, and if you just kind of follow them down, you'll see there's 2 hard lines back there, and just follow them. They're going to be what routes around and plugs into the prop valve. So for starters, I'm going to just remove those 2 lines. There's going to be some plastic clips back there that they're kind of being held onto the firewall with. Just kind of gently pull them out and they should come out.
Ha-ha! Yeah! Okay.
Alright, so here it is all laid out on the ground. You're going to have 2 long ones. These are going to go to the master cylinder, and you're going to have essentially 2 washers, a bolt, and then a fitting. It's going to go just like that. Washer, fitting, washer, bolt. And those are going to screw onto the master cylinder, which these lines are going to screw into from here. And the other end that looks like this is going to go into the prop valve. And you're going to have a longer one and a shorter one. And there's also going to be these 2 fittings included in your package. So the short one's going to go from the prop valve into the passenger wheel well. This will go into the prop valve, that end. This end will then screw into this inside the wheel well, and you'll connect whatever it is you need to connect from there. And this one goes over the driver's side. All right, so once you have the brake lines, whether you have steel ones or you have like these Valix or something else like I've got, you can see the line here, right here going into the cabin. You've got to disconnect it from whatever line you've got currently. So I'm gonna disconnect this on both sides, and that way I can feed them through. So again, for the two that are gonna go in the prop valve, you got the small one, and the long one will say, not the two that are gonna go into the master. I'm just gonna take the one that goes over to the driver's side, and just kinda, I don't know, it doesn't matter how you do it, just feed it underneath everything. Screwing this piece into the prop valve here, the driver's side is going to go towards the bottom here. So you've got top, bottom, closest to the passenger wheel well. We're going to go into the bottom. Might take a little, just some finagling here, just going to get it hand threaded. All right, so then the thin one, or the smaller one, just kind of goes to the top, and it'll feed right in through a hole over here, which will come out. You'll see it into the wheel well here. Again, you'll have one on both sides. So then what's left is you have the two long ones. They're both the exact same length. Doesn't matter, but these end are what are going into the prop valve. So basically the same thing. You're gonna plug them in there, top and bottom, and we're gonna route them over there. I just need to fully tighten them up. The two bottom ones are tight, but man, it looks nice just being all black. So I got the two lines routed up over here now. And they kind of go behind your motor mount. You'll see when you pull them out, they go behind the motor mount, kind of like underneath the body and kind of come up. So I'm just gonna sort of stick these old guys out of the way now and drop the master cylinder in. So just looking at this, looking how nice and clean it is. I don't know why I didn't just do this from the very get-go. I knew eventually I was gonna do brakes. I just never got to doing them until now, obviously. But looking back, I probably should have done them sooner than now. Yeah, this would have been a little bit easier, obviously, with everything out of the car. There we go. Just gonna put the two nuts on now. All right, so this is the rear driver's side. This has nothing to do with the Fastbrakes kit, but I'm also going to have matching StopTech slotted rotors back here as well. I'm also gonna take the caliper off because I never did it. On the front, I ended up blasting them, painting them, and putting a nice little Honda sticker on them. And I figured now since I'm doing the brakes, what a better time than doing it now. So the rotor, I'm just gonna basically pull off and paint it to the closest color that I can get to this grayish, metallic-y alloy color that the Wilwoods are. And I'm gonna put a Honda sticker right on it. So essentially to remove this, you're gonna have two Phillips. I already kind of removed them. Take the bolt out. That's for the actual caliper there. And then if you've got rear disc brakes like I do, there's gonna be a pin right here. It looks like it's a flathead, but it's not. It's got a little groove cut into it, so you can spin it for something later. But there's gonna be a little cotter key kind of here. Just gonna kind of have to hook it. I already did, kind of pulled it out. So once you get it out, it's gonna look like this. I'll get you to see it in the light here. That's what it's gonna look like. So just kind of put that off to the side. I kind of just put all my stuff here next to the jack stands. And then this pin needs to come out. You're basically just gonna push up on it. Oh, good note, when you're doing all this, make sure the e-brake is down. If it's up, it's gonna pull some tension on this, it's gonna be that much harder for you. All right, I know you can't really see here now, but there's gonna be a bolt on the top and back of the caliper. If you look, you'll be able to see it. It's like right there-ish. And there's gonna be one at the bottom. They're both 14s. Essentially now, just loosen those, and the caliper will come off. All right, I probably would have started with this. You're gonna see this little clip here too. I just took it off last. It's easier when it's first, but basically, it holds the actual e-brake cable here into this housing. So now you should be able to pull it through. As you saw it kind of just come out. If you don't pull that there, it keeps the actual e-brake cable to this arm. So now I'm just gonna go out here. It's kind of dark, so I'm not gonna show you, but I'm just gonna take the pads out, throw some degreaser on this before I blast it. All right, before this goes any further, I know the brake rotors, I put the passenger on the driver's side and vice versa. So by the end of this, I ended up swapping them all over. But for the rest of the video, just be aware that yes, I'm aware, I put the rotors on the wrong side. All right, so rotors off. I advise wearing gloves. I'm not wearing gloves right now, but I'm not gonna touch the actual brake surface area of the rotor for the moment. And you're gonna just, see how you got two threaded holes here? You're gonna wanna line the countersunk area up. Put that on. Highly recommend grabbing some like Permatex anti-seize lubricant. I use it for all kinds of stuff, but in this case, the screws that are going in there, you don't need a lot. A little goes a long way, just a little dab. Wife's crazy.
Yes.
If you ever have issues getting off, this will definitely help, and they don't got to be super tight. All right, I thought the camera was recording, it was not. So this little line here, you're gonna have it up here, and it's gonna be similar to the fitting that is on the back e-brake. It's gonna look just like this again. You're gonna pull that off, line's gonna drop. All right, so once you have that off, there's gonna be 2 bolts holding this caliper on. They're gonna be 2 17s. One's right here and one's on the bottom. Simply just remove those. There you go, caliper's off. Now you're gonna have these 2 Phillips heads here holding the rotor actually to it. Now, if you actually use some anti-seize or something on it, these should just come out pretty easily. Just as long as you grab the proper size apex that fits. And there you go. There's 1. Put it aside. And there's 2. And this rotor will just kind of gone. And if you look at mine, you can see mine might look a little different than yours. When I rebuilt this car and I redid the hub and everything, I new lower ball joint, new hub, and during all of that I blasted the knuckle assembly, painted it, and I removed the dust shield. I think it just looks a little bit cleaner. All right, so next we're going to have to grab this bracket that it comes with and look in the bag of bolts. You're going to have a bolt and a washer about yay size. And you're going to put the milled end towards the engine bay here. Before you put it on, it recommends putting a dab of red Loctite on both these bolts. So, and it goes a long way again. You don't got to get crazy with it. Granted, yes, the bigger the bolt, the more Loctite you might need to put on it, but there we go. Bracket, milled side, up on it. Just gonna hand thread that one. Do the same with the other side. All right, so once those are on there, the instructions tell you to torque it to 35 foot-pounds. I know some people like to just kind of cinch things on there. If that's your thing, then go for it. It's not mine necessarily on certain things. All right, so on the front here, it's a little different than the rear. You've got 4 actual threaded holes, so you can kind of put this sort of anywhere you want. All right, so when you're putting the screws in, again, just take some of the Permatex anti-seize lubricant again. Don't get crazy with it. Just a little dab. All right, so next you're gonna wanna grab 2 nuts in these 2 washers. You're gonna have to grab your caliper here. So the caliper is gonna slide over this bracket. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's your 2 holes here. They're gonna slide right over those studs. They're sticking out the side here. All right, so then there's a bag of these little thin washers here. Couldn't figure out what they were for at first, and I watched some videos and I actually found out a video and from Brian. So before you actually put the caliper on, I just kind of loosen mine now, but before you put it on, these are basically gonna go over the studs, and you're gonna have a washer sit in between the caliper and the actual adapter bracket. They've got more than you need in there. So you're basically gonna see if the pad lines up flush with the back side of the rotor. I guess some kits it might be a little bit recessed, so you just kind of keep pushing washers to push the caliper outward. And take 1 washer, 1 bolt, or 1 nut, excuse me. All right, so torque those to 30 foot-pounds, and this is kind of the snazzy part about this, in my opinion. Just take this little clip here, and you're gonna pull up on it, and then just pull straight back. If you want, you can take it all the way out, doesn't matter. Grab your brake pads that it came with, and you literally just slide them in like so. Pad obviously facing the rotor. And you're just gonna line the holes up in the actual brake pad. So it goes through the rotor. Pull this up until it kind of sits over it, and your pads are installed. Check that out. All right, so next, You're gonna disconnect your brake line, whatever you've got there still on the knuckle assembly. All right, grab the Wilwood supplied line or Fastbrakes line that comes in the kit. You're gonna have left two of these fittings. One's long, one's short. You got a little different bottom openings there. I'm gonna grab the long one, and you're gonna screw it into this end of the brake line there. There's no torque spec in the instructions or anything, so I'm just gonna kind of make it nicely hand tight. And if it leaks during brake bleed or something like that, then we'll address it. All right, so now that's there. The other one now, same thing, just kind of hand tighten it. It's going to go you're gonna have tape over it, a little piece. Obviously remove the paper, little sticker. Hand thread the fitting and just make it hand tight. All right, so I screwed the fitting on the back of the caliper first, and then I am going to come up here and attach. Just gonna kind of feed it down here for the moment and screw this on while it's like so. It's just easier that way. The length of the lines, they're nice and long, so you can kind of do all kinds of things with them, but because of their length, I found it's a little bit easier to kind of do it like this and thread it on now. So push the line up as high as you can get it. If you got to, kind of help feed the other line up. Piece is going to ride. You should be able to push most of it in there by hand. And once you kind of got it, take a little hammer. All right, so I can't figure out exactly how to route this. I mean, I have it figured out the way I'm going to do it for the time being, but it just seems a little awkward to me. So this will mount. It comes nice, you know, with its mounts. It's going to mount to the stock spot there, and this one will kind of come up here and mount to that. But you can see that the line is doing like a little S curve going up there, and I was like, it's just long. Here's the line that I took off of it. It is, I mean, you can just see it by holding it up to it. It is exponentially shorter, and this line down here, I didn't even attach to the actual brake. I just attached it to here. Then it was short enough, it just went right up there and stayed out of everything's way. But for this, I guess I'm just gonna snake it up there. So just take your existing hardware, bolt that there, and then I will tighten back here, and we'll tighten that fitting up there, and we should be good to go. All right, so when you go to bleed the actual Wilwoods, there's a bleeder here, and there's a bleeder on top and the back. So you have to bleed both of them. So you're gonna start with bleeding the one most inboard. So same procedure as regular, just bleeding brakes. I've got two little hoses that I got here. I wish I could tell you. Maybe I'll measure it and put it in the video, but I don't know what diameter these hoses are. I think one's just a random fuel line, and the other one is something else, I don't know. But same concept, putting it over the bleeder. All right, pump it. See how it's a nice solid stream? Let go. I'm not even gonna pump that one again. Nice. Let go. And these little bleeders here are a 1/4 inch drive. Super small, so take that into account. Make sure you've got something that small. All right, so here's a 13-inch Lenzos that I've been running in the drag strip 2 times, and you can kind of see gently in here, not a big deal, but it's because it rubbed on the knuckle assembly when I do full lock to lock. So I'd ordered these 5mm spacers to put on, not much. I mean, it barely was touching. I just need a little bit, and doing that, they're hub centric, and it's not enough that I still won't be able to grab any lug nuts. So let's see if they actually fit, if the wheels fit this brake setup. Out the spacer. They fit this caliper just fine. I'll be honest with you, I think it actually has more clearance than the stock CRX that stock caliper did. So now, know for a fact, I'll put the spacer on. We'll be able to fit. All right, so hopefully the rotors did not distract you. Hopefully you saw that part, because all the rotors are on there properly now and everything's all buttoned up. So the EX master cylinder there, you got the hush lines there and they kind of wrap down there. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a clamp that I added back there to kind of hold the lines tidy. And then there is there on the prop valve. So as far as the brakes, they fit real nice. They've got some good clearance. I'm not taking a tape measure, but I got my whole finger in between the actual spoke there. On the back, you can see how I kind of matched it there a little bit as best I could with some Brembo pads. Now, the back footage is not really there because I kind of had the phone on a time lapse, and well, I was talking during it and it just wouldn't make any sense. So, but I blasted them, cleaned them, blasted them, painted them, and put the sticker on them and then threw some clear over it. So all that's on. I don't know, it seems to brake just fine. I haven't done any like 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, and just full on slam the brakes and try to lock them. But it does stop. It does feel a little bit different, but it could be a matter of just getting used to the 4-piston calipers with the bigger master and whatnot, but they feel great. And the kit was a pretty straightforward install. All right, so I'm signed up now for an autocross track, not a course. It is a track that I'll put a picture up right now. It's no cones, it's actually a track, and it's what we use for our drifting events out here. It's not super close, but it's not far. So the next video, what it's gonna consist of is I wanna get the car, I'm trying to get as prepared for that as possible. Or just, you know, making a drive out there. I just wanna make sure nothing goes wrong with the car and bring tools, blah, blah, blah. But I really want my wife to be able to drive it around the track. Problem is, she's driven the car before, but not really very much, and it was a while ago. So I need her to get used to just driving the car in general before I put her on, you know, the track. Not that I'm gonna be that great at driving it, but I at least understand the car and how to drive it, or how to, you know, I feel comfortable in the driver's seat. So it's gonna actually work twofold. I called the tuner and we discussed the meth kit. Should I come back out there and get tuned? And I'm not really looking for any more power. So with that, I'm just gonna leave the timing alone, and I'm just gonna mess with just the fueling for the meth kit, because as of now, I think I had it triggered at like 4 grand or 4,500 and 8 pounds of boost, and it just starts to run so rich that the car bogs badly up top because it's running like 10 flat air to fuel. So the next video will be my wife hopefully driving the car, and I'm just gonna sit in the passenger seat tuning the fuel. So it'll kind of be a twofold. Like I said, she'll get a little more familiar with driving the car. You'll get her little point of view of it, what she likes and dislikes about the car, which is gonna be a lot, but it is what it is. It's not a normal, you know, her daily car that she drives. And while we're doing that, I can have up on the screen, you guys can see what I'm actually messing with the fuel. It shouldn't take too long, considering the fuel map's pretty good as is now. We're just gonna be removing some fuel. And that way too, if God forbid the pump decides to just die on us, the timing won't be any more advanced, and hopefully the lean protection can catch it, if anything, and we'll be okay. So again, it's not to make any more power right now, it's just to help keep the IATs down. So that's what the next video is gonna consist of. And what I'm also curious is, I'm gonna bring some more boost juices, which I'm running. We're gonna see how quickly that goes away while it's being ran across on the autocross track. So again, I appreciate everybody for watching. Leave your questions, comments, any concerns you have in the comments below, and I will try to get back to them. And hopefully whenever you're watching this, you have a good weekend, good week, whenever the heck this comes out.